I met I met Humberto working with Brother Kirk Brothers back a few years ago when we were doing a future ministers camp in Colombia.
Uh-huh.
Humberto, did you also go to Dominican Republic?
No. When I went there sometime to preach to some women over there that are from Switzerland.
Okay, do this, do this. Tell Brother Mike what you do so he knows a little bit about you.
Okay. Good morning, brother Mike. God
Yes,
bless
sir.
you. I am a preacher of the Church of Christ here in Medellin. The congregation is Prado Centro congregation. I had been over there working with them for about 10 or I guess 12 years. I work as a missionary around Colombia and the whole country. And in the last years, I have had the opportunity to go out of my country to work, for example, in Venezuela and Ecuador. This from from September the last year to February of the year 2024, I was in Peru, Bolivia, Paraguay, Uruguay, Argentina, and other countries preaching the gospel and helping the churches of Christ around these countries, brother Mike. I try to carry on, for example, workshops about leadership and evangelistic campaign or evangelistic training for the churches of Christ or men, something like that.
Uh-huh.
When I went to visit these places.
So, what I wanted to share with you, Mike, the last time Brother Humberto and I talked, he was telling me that he is able, of course, you can see he speaks English. His first language is Spanish, but he also speaks some Portuguese.
Uh-huh.
And that is the primary language of Brazil. But most of the other countries in South America, Brother Humberto, they speak Spanish. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. They speak Spanish.
So I was telling him that we're trying to expand our school to,
Uh-huh.
to preachers in those countries to help them get engaged in our lessons on church leadership. And he was going to be researching, if I'm not correct, researching some brothers we might be able to get enrolled in the school. And so the first point we wanted to talk about was reaching out to the Spanish speaking countries in South America. And I didn't put it on there, but also those who speak Portuguese in Brazil. Brother Humberto, were you able to come up with any contacts for us to reach out to?
I already had contacts in those countries, but I need to have the information to tell them about the project.
Okay. So what our primary goal is to help the preachers work on developing biblical church leadership,
Mhm.
developing elders and deacons and even Bible teachers. But our priority is the elders and the deacons because, you know, a lot of those churches don't have elders.
Yeah.
Um, and there are many reasons for that. I won't go into the details about it, but if they sign, we first of all, we have material in English on church leadership, and we have several lessons that we can share, but of course they're all in English. And so what we were hoping you might be able to do is help us to get some of this material into Spanish and English. Now let me explain one thing. There's a brother in Panama who is translating some of these lessons already, these leadership lessons into Spanish. And we really don't need to do that two times. We could share what he has done with you and they could read that, but we have nothing in Portuguese. And so did you tell me that you're able to take material in English and translate it into Portuguese?
Yes.
Okay. So I don't speak any Portuguese. I would be totally lost if someone were to speak to me in that language. And so, do you understand what we're trying to do?
Yes, I understand.
Okay. So, I know you also do some videos. I see some of them come up on Facebook, primarily preaching the gospel, right?
Right.
And so what we have two courses that we do. One of them is called Christian Doctrine, or you might call it Bible Fundamentals. Are you familiar with the book that Forest Park did on Fundamentos Bíblicos?
Yes, I know it.
We're not using that. We're not using that material. It's good material. I don't have a problem with it, but that's not what we're using. So we're trying to get primarily our purpose in starting this school was to help the preachers work on getting elders.
Yeah, we need to work a lot in
So
that area.
what do you think is the main obstacle in those churches having elders, or some of the main, or more than one? What do you think the reason might be that they don't have elders?
I guess that they know that we need to organize the churches of Christ as the New Testament said, but they forget that, or they get used to be like we are right now without elders. I guess that we need to teach to try to remember them and to train them, because they nowadays are working only with some kind of preacher or uh, men's leaderships only, and they, I guess that they forget to teach about this topic among the churches.
What about the congregation where you are? What are the possibilities of having elders there?
Sometimes they said there are no people to be appointed as an elders in that congregation. And I can see that we had maybe one family that qualified to be an elder, the brother, but we have at least two families in that process. But it is a topic that the churches of Christ are not talking about frequently in our, for example, here in Colombia and all over the countries in South America.
That's why we wanted to start this school. I went to Panama in 1984, 1985, 1986, 1987. Then the next time I went, I think maybe 87 was to Costa Rica. And then I didn't go back till maybe 1991. And I've been on 50 something campaigns. And I'm not trying to make the brethren look bad, but I've not been to a congregation yet where they had any elders. And a lot of our purposes of the campaigns were evangelistic, and that's good. There's nothing wrong with that. But and I'm not saying that people are not making the effort, but I'm not seeing much effort from where I am in helping those churches to mature in that way. And you said where you are, there maybe is one family. What could you serve as an elder?
Me?
Yeah.
No, I don't have a wife.
Oh, you don't have a wife. Well, that's a
No.
major reason.
It's kind of a deal killer.
Okay. Well, that's one of the qualifications. So,
Yeah, but that's one.
so here's what I've been thinking. Um, I know a lot of times when you convert certain men, they do not have the history to be able to be an elder. Maybe all their children are already grown up and out of the house or whatever, and their children are not faithful. So here's a thought. Brother Kirk does these church leadership camps, and he works with some very young men who are eager and zealous to teach and preach. And he also, I went on 2 trips with him, and my purpose was to help them think about leadership and elders. You may remember that in Colombia. But
Yes.
so here's a thought. Number one, preachers need to be thinking about getting elders. They cannot pretend like it is not important. If they don't think about it, they'll never do it. And do you think that some of them are afraid that if they have elders, they will lose something?
In some cases, isn't that way because preachers in our area are are comfortable with the role that they are developed at the churches of Christ. And in some cases, for example, in in some cases when a new preacher arrives to a church, they have some problems between the leaders because maybe they have some kind of jealousy for the new preacher coming out or coming to a new church. But I guess that the thing is that we need to work from the scratches to get the topic, to expose the topic among the preachers and the churches also. And I guess that's the way to start to working to see maybe in some years after that the preachers and the churches start to think deeply and to pray, for example, and to have the tools, the information about it, to appoint it or to start the plan to appoint it elders in each congregation.
Okay, so what do you think we can do to animate them to think about this? I mean, I know I'm other than material, we can send material, but what can we do to animate them in thinking about doing this? Because when you read the New Testament, they had elders in very early in the churches. I know that I don't know all the situations. Maybe there were men who had been Jews and they're faithful in their families and things like that. And so, number one, I have a lesson on the role of an evangelist. And an evangelist is not in charge of the church. He's in charge of preaching the gospel and maturing the church. But if you think you're in charge of the church, it's like I was talking with a brother recently in another country calling the preachers pastors. That's not biblical. I'm not a pastor. I don't have any elders where I am. I wish I did. I'm not a pastor. So maybe we could start with defining their role. What is your
Yeah.
role as a preacher? And I know we have responsibility, especially when you don't have elders. If you don't do some things, they will never be done. But at the same time, we have not reached the level of maturity if we're not working on a biblically organized congregation. So how do you get them to think about that? You're a Latin mind, you have the Latin mind, you understand the culture. What do we need to do to get them to think about it?
Okay, I believe that we need to start, for example, with some meetings that we can do through this means of communications like Zoom. We can invite people from some churches to come with us and to talk about it. And we need to visit personally the churches of Christ to talk with the leaders in that congregations. And another thing is that we can do, for example, lectureships. For example, some of you, or maybe both, or mm, more brothers from America, can come to, for example, Colombia, and we can organize an event, for example, like conferences or something like that, um, and teach our preachers about it and make them to talk about it.
If we were to do a Zoom meeting with some of these preachers like we're doing now, do you think that would be beneficial, would be helpful?
Yes, I can. I think so. It is will
And
be beneficial for them.
I'm not saying that we might not come down there, but so what countries? I think about Ecuador, I think about Peru, I think about in Venezuela and Colombia. For those who speak Spanish, um, if we could get those preachers together in one place, let's say that Brother Mike and I could schedule a time to come, maybe sometime late this year or next year, where would be a good place to do that?
Okay, Colombia will be a good place to gather together. For example, people from Venezuela, Ecuador, maybe Peru. Another country that will be a good option is Bolivia, because Bolivia is like in the middle of the lower part of the South America. For example, Bolivia is between um, and is near to Chile, Argentina, Uruguay, Paraguay, and Peru. And furthermore, about Bolivia, when I was there in the like January this year, I was talking with the brothers in Sucre, it's a city, and I was talking to them about to have a meeting, an international meeting for preachers, to have some conference with them to try to encourage the missionaries that we have in that part of the continent. And I guess it will be a good idea to have a meeting over there, inviting people from Peru, Chile, Argentina, Uruguay, and Paraguay, and of course, people from Bolivia.
That's a lot of countries.
Yeah.
Here's a thought, Mike. I
Uh-huh.
we would need to raise some money for that, but just think of what it could do. If so, how long do you think we would need to stay and do that, Humberto? How long do you think?
I
How much time you think we would need?
I guess about a week.
About a week. And so you're thinking it's better to meet in Bolivia. Now, we don't know. Here's a thought. How many of those preachers could come and pay their own expenses and would do that?
We need to ask about it. But the thing with Bolivia is that Bolivia is about in the center of these countries. For example, if we do something in Colombia, for them will be too far. For example, for people from Uruguay or Paraguay, Argentina or Chile will be too far and too expensive for them. But in Bolivia or maybe another country or the region will be better for them because the distances will be less than from Colombia. In Colombia, or for example in Ecuador, we can do something that it is possible to gather people from Venezuela, for example, Ecuador and Colombia, because these countries are
Okay,
near.
thank you.
each other.
Okay, so here's what I'm thinking. Maybe in 2025, we could plan to do this. We would, and that would give us time and give you time to find the contacts and see who would be willing to come. And here's a thought while it's on my little brain. So let's say we have this meeting, and let's say sometime in spring or summer of 2025, and all these brothers come. We do our teaching online. We do our lessons. So we record our lessons and we put them on YouTube. Now, I'll get to something else in a moment. So what I'm thinking is if we get all these brothers to come, if they want to enroll in the school, everything after that would be done online. Because we cannot come back every year, I mean, every month, and do that, or every year. What do you think about a plan like that? If we get everyone to come together, and let's say we spend a week with them, we do some lessons on leadership, we plant the seed of thinking about elders and deacons, we work on that, and then, okay, we get them signed up for the school, and then we can start doing things online. But we would need your help after that.
Yes, but that is a good point to start. If we can go, for example, to Bolivia next year, we will be planting the seed about it and the topic to expose the topic to them. And I guess it is a great possibility that we can get that involved, for example, at the biblical school to start to learn more about the topic via Zoom, for example.
Okay, here's something we could do now. You have
Hey,
contact.
Roger,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I just had a thought, and it may not be worthwhile, but if you had really, really good response and you had a really profitable week, I mean, I'm just bouncing this around, but it might be you could do an annual forum there every year for a week.
And in
And
between that, do these classes through
yes,
so do
yes.
something annually. That's a
Yeah,
thought. Here's the
will
thing.
be better.
When
That will be better because we can move the event, for example, we can start with Bolivia, but then we can move, for example, to Colombia next year, 1 week working in a different country with you presentially.
and well, it's I think here's what I told Brother Mike. I said, Humberto knows a lot of preachers in South America. And you can contact these men even now, and you could send their email addresses to me. And yet, if you could, like the second thing we have on here is like translating our material. We have material in Spanish, and then we need to get it into Portuguese. That would just cover Brazil, but that's good. But I was telling Mike, I said, Brother Humberto has contacts that we don't have. And these people, and you can communicate with them, and you could help us with this school. We had a brother in Jamaica who was from Haiti, and he was teaching lessons in French, the Haitian Creole French language. Well, he died. And so we don't have that now. But I am reaching out to another brother in Haiti right now who's writing to me in English. But I'm saying we want to spread the school, not to spread the school, but to get brothers to think about getting elders and deacons. And we may not live long enough to see this happen, but we can start it, get the
Yes,
idea going. Because they will never think about it unless they are inspired to think about it. encouraged to think about it. And of course, I don't want to get into the details of how we might get them to think about it. So let me ask you this. If I send you some of my material on church leadership, you could put that into Portuguese, and I can connect you with the brother in Panama, and he can send you what he's doing in Spanish that he's translating. And you could send this material out to some of these preachers and let them see what we're doing. You can share none of our videos on our YouTube channel are in Spanish. We don't have any in Spanish. But you could help us start doing that. I don't know how much time you have. I don't know what your time is. I know you do some videos already. Would you be able to help us make some videos?
Yes, we need to take a time to do it. For example, the following month, I'm going to go to Ecuador to work with the brother Kirk in a first minister's camp there in Cuenca. I guess I don't know if when you talked to him some months ago, he told you about it. But this is the plan. We are going to have this minister camp. It will be about June 2026.
Of this year?
Yeah,
Yeah,
this
you
year.
you told me about that. Where will it be?
In Ecuador, Cuenca. The city is Cuenca. And Kirk is coming with the brother Francisco. I guess that you know him. It is the preacher at the Bible school in Panama.
Yeah, Francisco Gonzalez.
Yes, Francisco Gonzalez. And if you talk from to him about this plan, maybe it would be good if you talk again with him because we are going to start and talking to the congregations, the preachers, and the students the next month.
I will talk to Kirk. I know he's teaching some lessons on leadership at the Bible School of the Americas. I have not talked to him about that, but anything we can do, if he's doing it, if we're doing it to get these men to think about it, it will be the preachers that make the change.
Yes,
The
I guess
churches will not do it unless the preachers get it going.
I read that the plan is to talking about homiletics and hermeneutics also, and you know that this project that the brother Kirk has is about to train young people in order to encourage them to be ministers of the Church of Christ.
Yeah. That's what he does. Future Ministers Camp. This is not what our school is about. Our school is about men who are already preaching to help them develop local church leadership. And so Kirk's doing a good work. He is. And there's nothing wrong with that. Now, here's a thought. If I send you some of my material that has been translated into Spanish, how would you feel? I don't know what your time is. You have to tell me about your schedule. Would you be able to take some of those lessons and maybe listen to what I'm teaching on leadership, take the material and teach that in Spanish? I mean, Portuguese. I'm working on getting Brother Conrad Pender to do this in Spanish. He's told me he wants to do it, but um, I need to get in touch with him. Let me tell you something. This is not about me. It's not about Brother Mike. It's about a need in the church, una necesidad. And we need to get these brothers thinking about this and let them take this information. Okay, we have the information. What are we going to do with it? What are we going to do to develop the local church? Because it ends up being on the shoulders of the preacher. We're just teachers. We're not there. We're not a part of their activities. But if you could do some of these lessons in Portuguese, and Brother Conrad can do them in Spanish, I could send when Conrad does videos, they will be on our YouTube channel. And if you do some, let's say you did some of these lessons in Portuguese. Do you have Dropbox?
Yes.
Okay, so you could do your videos, you could record your videos, and you can send them to me in Dropbox, and then I upload them to the channel. That way we would have 3 languages going when we get Conrad working on it. Mike, you have anything to add to that?
I don't think so. Just real good stuff.
So what we really need to do is find some support so we can go down there and do that seminar, because these brothers will need a little help coming and going, and we'll have to rent a facility. We'll have to pay for food. We'll have to buy plane tickets for ourselves. But if we could go one time and start this fire,
Uh,
it would be money well spent.
what kind of money are you thinking?
I'm not sure. I would need to find out from Humberto maybe what they would need for their travel. We could figure our part, but I don't know about. And then we would need to find a place to meet. And depending on how many would come, what size it would be, but we can work out those details later.
Okay.
Another thing I had on here, number 5, is, do you need any support to help us do this work?
I guess so, but maybe that depends. For example, if I need to move around in my country or out the country to do something, I will need some expenses for going. Uh, if I, it depends on the thing that we are going to do. For example, uh, about the translation from English or Spanish to Portuguese, sometimes I have the time, whereas I was, for example, traveling somewhere, I can take maybe a computer to work on it. And maybe I don't, in that cases, I don't need anything, but that depends, brothers.
If you have to travel, and right now, I'm not asking you to do any travel. If you would help us, we would like for you to be a part of the staff of the school. In other words, you would be our staff member in South America.
Yeah.
And if right now, what we need from you to do, number one, do you like the idea?
Yes, I need that we need to work in this area because we need to make that our churches, the local churches in our countries, not only thought about it, but start to think and to work to have eldership in the future, the near future. We
So
need to do that.
So right now, what I would like for you to do to help us is, number one, let me send you some lessons in English. And also, I can send you some that Conrad has done in Spanish, and you can look at whichever one you want and put that into Portuguese, and then see about finding some students to get into the school. Now, that's going to be the hard part, because right now Mike and I do our lessons in English. We communicate with brothers who speak English. We do our exams in English and all of that. And so it's not necessary to do an exam. However, if they want to continue getting the material, they need to communicate and let us know if they're studying and they want to go forward. We will offer a certificate of completion for a course when they finish it. If they do, like we do like 4 lessons and then we do an exam. And so they do that. And then when we finish, we can send them a certificate of completion. I don't know if that is important to them, but it helps us find out who's really serious about studying.
Yeah, it is not only a good idea, but it is necessary because people need to be encouraged or to have something that certificates their knowledge.
And so if you're recorded, say I send you material and you start recording it into Portuguese, then you could send me the video by Dropbox and I can upload it to the channel. So what I do, you would give me a title to the lesson in Portuguese, and we want you to be a teacher if you want to do that. Because
Yeah,
we can't do that. I
and
don't, you know,
I guess that, for example, in the thing that you are saying, when you are teaching in English, I need or someone needs to be there to put the words in Spanish because we are trying to get people from South America, and we all speak Spanish, and in other case, Portuguese with people from Brazil. But I guess that we are together and we can do that's important lessons. You speaking in English, and I can interpret it for you for the students also.
now the brother that passed away, he was reading the material in English. He would listen to my lessons on YouTube, then he did the lessons. I wasn't there. Could you do that?
Yes,
And see, that way it takes longer when you have 2 people. And if you study the material and you understand what we're talking about, and you can make applications to your culture that I might not make
mm,
studying that material. You're an intelligent brother. You can do this without me. You can take that material and you can study it and you can teach it. If you had questions about it, you could ask me,
yes.
you know. That way, it's Brother Humberto Velasquez who's teaching these lessons for the school on church leadership in Portuguese. What do you think about that, Mike?
I like it. I think it's great.
There are only 2 of us, and Mike and I both are full-time preachers like you. And so we don't have a lot of extra time to do a lot of different videos. But if you could do that, I'll send you the material. And if you had questions about it, you can ask me. And then you can share this with some of these students and start getting them interested in this. And
Yes, brother.
when you record a video, you send it to me and I'll upload it to the channel.
Okay, brother.
You like that?
Yes, I like it.
You can do that. Well, I think God is opening doors. You know, I know He is. And this is a great need. Do you have any questions for us or Brother Mike, that for me or Brother Mike, or any suggestions?
No, I guess that it is a very good plan. We need this kind of plan because we need to talk, to teach, to encourage our people. We need to do it. We need to do the effort to do this because churches of Christ need to be organized according to the New Testament.
Do you need any study material on this subject other than what I might send you?
I have not studied a lot of this topic. I want to start it because, for example, I was asking to God to train me in this topic to be able to go to some country or churches of Christ to teach this um, to the leadership. I guess that you are an answer to my prayers because I want to be involved in this work.
Well, you're an answer to our prayers too. Now, right now, I'm thinking about everything that we're asking you to do it online on the internet. If we get to the point where you might need to do some travel, do you get any support from anyone in the United States for your work?
I when I travel, for example, in the last trip that I made to El Salvador some weeks ago, some brothers helped me with the tickets, and the churches of Christ where I was gave me the food and facilities of the room or a house to be in. That's the way that I travel. Some brothers that I know, for example, I told them I'm going to be there. I'm going to travel. Could you help me with something? And they help me.
Well, our school is new. I don't take any money from the money that comes in for the school. I would like to be able to do this full time sometime in the future. So right now we don't have a lot of extra money. So I was wondering if those who are supporting you now, if you could tell them about this, if they would help you with it. You getting money from the States?
Yeah, some brothers send me some money each month.
Okay. So what if you talk to them? I mean, right now, I don't think you need to go anywhere for what we're talking about, maybe in the future. But now, Brother Mike, he's my assistant, and the congregation where he works would probably pay his expenses if he went to Bolivia, and they might help me to go to Bolivia. But now, if we had to bring in all these other preachers, we would need to reach out to other brothers and sisters to get some support for that expense. So, we depend on God 100%, but, we do have to ask for help. So that's why I was asking if you got involved where you needed to travel, maybe your supporters could help you with that. I don't know.
I don't know too, but let's start, and we are going to see that God can do with us. I guess that God will provide everything we need to do this work.
I don't guess. I know. But I understand what you're saying. I understand. This has been a very profitable conversation, and I wanted Brother Mike to meet you because he has not traveled to a lot of other countries, and I've been all over, but I wanted him to meet you and and get to know you a little better. I guess I did not realize you were not married, but I know it now. Um, so,
I
but
Well,
can't be an elder.
in
and
one
I
way that
and
go ahead,
Nick,
Mike.
I'm just gonna say I appreciate your spirit and your zeal and your willingness and desire to help us and
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
I'm grateful that it's an answered prayer. I believe God's providence is at work and I think that I think you'll be a tremendous asset to the work.
So
To God be the glory,
if
brother.
we get you involved, we would have Brother Mike, Brother Conrad, you, and myself. That would be four, and then that's three languages. And do you know many of the brothers and sisters there who speak English?
In our South American countries.
Yeah.
There are some. I guess that we can invite some of them to study in English because English is a global language for business and many things. And for example, people right now that are, for example, at the universities, they must study English. That this the language English is one thing that we are doing also. I don't know if you know the brother Mike House. He's from a brother from America, but he's a he's like a NASA. He works for the NASA there. He's an engineer, and he went to Colombia last year, and we went with him to have some lectureships about engineering, religion, and there is another word: science, engineering, and religion. And we took advantage of the English because at the universities to talk, they have a department of languages, and it was one thing that we used last year that made the brother Mike to be in about 2 universities in a secondary school, and we were with him teaching about 1,000 people.
Wow. Mike Houts. Houts.
Yes, it sounds like that, but I can't send his name by message.
I, it seems like I've heard it. So the reason I ask is our lessons right now are in English. Also, Mike's wife, Nancy Hickson, and my wife, Elisa, are teaching ladies' classes online in English. And if there are any sisters down there who speak English, they can watch those videos. Nancy does lessons like from a desk in her home. My wife is doing a ladies' class in the church. They're teaching different things, but I just wanted you to know about that. If there are brothers, sisters who speak English, they might want to watch those videos. So actually, if we get you, it'd be Mike, Conrad, you, me, Nancy, and Lisa. That'd be 6 people. And we want to get more teachers. The language barrier is the largest challenge if we want to reach more people. We can find brothers here who can teach in English. So we can reach brothers in Africa and Jamaica and Europe and other places in English. But to get to the Latin American countries, right now it's just you and Conrad. So it's very important that we get you involved. I need to finish the meeting, and here's what I'm going to do. I will send you, Brother Humberto, some lessons on church leadership in English. I will try and get Conrad to send the ones. I'll try to send the ones Conrad did in Spanish. And we have a large job to do, but we can do it with God's help. It's
Amen.
it's his work. It's not our work. Jesus, in his prayer in John 17, he said, I've finished the work that you gave me to do. So it's God's work, and we can do it.
Amen.
I'm convinced. Did you have anything else, Mike?
I don't think so. That's great.
Well, I want to tell you, I'll send you some other links. You can watch Brother Mike preach. He does a good job. And before we go, do you have any questions, Brother Humberto?
No, I don't. I guess I has watched some videos about the brother Mike. I guess it's did you teach brother with the World Video Bible School sometime?
I do some stuff with gospel broadcasting.
Broadcast
Okay.
Gospel Broadcasting Network. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
have seen you over there in that
Okay.
channel.
yeah.
Yeah, matter of fact, I've been taping some stuff today.
Do this before we go. I'll send you an email, but I want Mike to hear it. I'd like for you to send in an email some topics in leadership that you think we need to discuss. And I will send you a list I'll send you a list of the course titles, the lesson titles. And I think we've covered most everything, but if there's something we missed, you could let us know. You could tell.
Okay.
That sounds great.
All right.
Thank you, brothers.
Mike, did you need to talk to me anymore? Or you want to catch up later?
I'll catch you later. I got some other stuff I got to get back to.
All right. God
All right.
bless y'all.
All right, y'all take care. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. God bless you, brothers. Bye, bro.